Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and today we are talking about the quick bounce back for Tesla stock. We also have some news on the shelter-in-place orders in California, and some topics on batteries, energy, and competition for Tesla to discuss. Tesla stock on the day on Monday did finish up 8.5% to $761.19. That compared to the Nasdaq up 1.2%. So Tesla pretty much getting back to where it was prior to Elon tweeting that he thought the stock price was too high. I think people over the weekend, as we always talk about, had some time to contextualize this tweet from Elon and had some opportunity to understand that he's said this many times in the past. He also added a clarifying tweet after market close on Friday in response to somebody asking, quote, "Can you please just state your account was hacked? You're killing every investor that invested in you and Tesla right now," end quote. Elon replied saying, quote, "As always, I'm optimistic about Tesla long term," end quote. At this point, we've talked about this pretty extensively, both with Dave Lee on YouTube on a live stream on Friday, so check that out if you missed it. And then on Third Row this weekend, they brought me on and we had about an hour and 10-minute discussion on Tesla's overall business and their financial position. So check that one out as well, and thanks to both of those channels for hosting me. But look, Elon is optimistic on the long term. I'm optimistic on the long term. That's what most Tesla investors are investing in Tesla for, obviously. So yeah, I would rather that not have been tweeted, but it doesn't make much of a difference to me. Elon is subject of a lot of criticism naturally just based on his financial position. That scrutiny becomes heavier when he's pushing for the economy to open back up in this type of an environment. A lot of people saying he's doing it just for the stock price or just for his own financial gain. Elon is trying to show that that's not true. I think it's pretty much as simple as that. I want to stay on that reopening subject, but just to quickly wrap up with Elon tweets, since he did have a couple more interesting ones this weekend. On Saturday night, Elon tweeted, quote, "Anyone think they can get a good multiplayer Minecraft working on Teslas? Or maybe create a game that interacts virtually with reality, like Pokemon Go while driving safely, like a complex version of Pac-Man or Mario Kart," end quote. We actually spent a lot of time discussing things like this on the Third Row podcast in terms of Tesla's ability to leverage the computer on wheels that each Tesla vehicle really is to add value to the customer, whether it's through entertainment, through things like gaming, or whether it's through leveraging data for things like Tesla insurance. Something like Pokemon Go may seem like it's sort of just for fun, but there is real value to these things. I know these aren't comparable at all, but in its first 7 months of being on the market, Pokemon Go generated $1 billion in revenue, reportedly. That was back in 2016, and obviously at the time it was a bit of a fad, but in 2019 it generated $1.4 billion in total. And yes, I understand that there are hundreds of millions of smartphones out there, and there are not currently hundreds of millions of Tesla vehicles, so it is a very different situation. My only point is that as the revenue that Pokemon Go has generated demonstrates, people do place real value on things like this. Tesla is implementing them and adding value where other automakers cannot at this point in time. The other series of tweets that I just want to really briefly mention is in regards to the EPA test on the Model S that Elon spoke about on the Q1 earnings call. He of course said that there was about a 2% hit to the test vehicle due to the EPA leaving the key and the driver door open, causing some range loss overnight before the test. The EPA denied it. Elon has come back on Twitter saying they have the data logs. Of course, nothing new for those of us that follow Tesla closely. And pretty surprising that this would even be a story, because that would be such a weird and pointless and specific lie for Elon to make. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, as Elon has said, it doesn't really matter. Once the EPA testing is up and running again, they'll retest, and he's confident they'll get above 400 miles. Alright, so back to the reopening of the economy, specifically as it relates to Fremont being able to restart production. We know Tesla had originally targeted this May 4th date. That was the original expiration of the Alameda County shelter-in-place order, which of course has now been extended through May, leaving Tesla's production plan uncertain and leaving Elon to, of course, apply a lot of pressure with his comments last week. So, California Governor Gavin Newsom had a press conference today and followed it up with a series of tweets, and in his first tweet, he said, quote, "California is led by data and science. Based off our progress, we'll begin to gradually move into stage 2 this Friday. Some sectors, where there's a lower risk of transmission, will be able to adapt and reopen with modifications. This will include some retail and manufacturing/logistics," end quote. Tesla stock on the day had already recovered pretty significantly, about 6% prior to this news conference and this tweet, but following it, it rose by probably another 2.5% or so, with this looking like a positive for the potential restart of production at Fremont. Personally, as it relates to production, I do think this is a positive step, but as Newsom noted in his press conference, though not in the tweet, he said, quote, "The Bay Area has guidelines that are a little more strict. If they choose not to come into compliance, they have that right," end quote. So we'll have to wait and see how Alameda County specifically chooses to move forward. But I think there is more and more of a groundswell for support of reopening. And now that the state is seemingly on board, at least from the manufacturing perspective, I do think it will become more and more difficult for Alameda County to act in a contrarian manner to what the state's guidelines are. This is definitely something I'll be keeping a close eye on, so I'll report as we have more news on this, but to me, I do think this makes a May reopening, at least in some way, shape, or form, of Fremont more likely than June. Again, though, that is just my opinion. We'll have to wait and see. Next up today, also probably benefiting the stock, we did have an updated note from Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas, changing his price target on Tesla from $440 per share up to $680 per share. So joining the host of analysts that we saw upgrade Tesla last week, or increase their price targets rather. Jonas did keep his equal weight rating on the stock. Since earning, at least among the 20 analysts that I've been able to track, we have seen the average Tesla price target go up by $140 per share from $506 before to now $645 per share, a 28% increase since earnings. No major key points to report from the Jonas note. It was really about how they expect the next Gigafactory to be in Texas. I think we've talked about that plenty. Next up today, we have some news on Tesla Energy as well as batteries. Then we'll come back to vehicles and competition at the end. But on the energy side of the business, the Telegraph from the UK is reporting that Tesla has applied for a United Kingdom electricity provider license. They also say, quote, industry sources say that Tesla is now preparing to enter the British market with its technology, end quote, while referring to battery projects like we have seen from Tesla in Australia with the Hornsdale Power Reserve. In terms of what this means, I'm not reading too much into it. Of course, this could indicate that Tesla's, ready to ramp up production and start expanding. I think that's a natural course of action though, so nice to see, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it. The other energy news that is going around today is on Tesla's AutoBidder software. Electrek posted on this today, calling it a new product from Tesla. In the body of the article, they said, quote, it has apparently been used for a few years, but we are only now learning about it, end quote. So inevitably, a lot of other blogs have picked up on it too, so I wanted to address it. Though it is not clear to me why this is news because we've known about AutoBidder for at least almost a year now, and I'm pretty sure we've talked about it in the past, but maybe the website was just updated or something like that. So AutoBidder is Tesla's algorithmic energy trading software that Tesla uses with their utility scale energy projects to make sure that that energy that they have stored is being transferred at the optimal time. Tesla describes AutoBidder by saying, quote, Tesla's team of experienced machine learning engineers, optimization engineers, and market trading experts have created a library of sophisticated algorithms that drive the complex optimal dispatch behavior behind Tesla's batteries. The algorithms are based on numerous mathematical techniques, including classical statistics, machine learning, and numerical optimization. The library includes the functionality to perform price forecasting, load forecasting, generation forecasting, dispatch optimization, and smart bidding, end quote. Another nice point to keep in the back pocket for those that argue that Tesla is not at all a technology company. For the news on batteries, today the Korea Times is reporting that Tesla has reached an agreement with Hanwha Corp to supply some battery formation equipment to Tesla, providing yet another hint at Tesla's intentions to continue vertically integrating in the battery production process. Battery formation is the next step in the process after cell assembly, so those newly assembled cells go through their first charge-discharge cycle, which serves a couple of purposes. First, activating some of the materials in the cell, making it then usable, and then second, testing the performance to make sure that it is within spec. Apparently, this battery formation equipment from Hanwha will first be supplied to Tesla's Fremont factory, with the hopes of eventually supplying it to Tesla's other production facilities. Obviously, the batteries are coming from the Gigafactories, not from Fremont. So at least initially, it looks like this is test equipment that Tesla will experiment with in Fremont. Next up today is an interesting report from German publication Süddeutsche. They are reporting that Daimler is talking to both BMW and Volkswagen about potentially working together to form a common operating system for their vehicles. We have talked a lot, of course, about Volkswagen's software issues, particularly as it relates to the delayed launch of the ID.3, as VW works to get the operating system on that vehicle up and running. And we have heard time after time VW CEO Herbert Diess emphasize the importance of this and often lament their trailing competitive position versus Tesla on software, with most recently as last week him saying, quote, what worries me most is the capabilities in the assistance systems. 500,000 Teslas work as a neural network that continuously collects data and offers the customer a new driving experience every 14 days with improved properties. No other automobile manufacturer can do that today, end quote. So obviously the other automakers have the scale to collect that kind of data. They just don't have the software prowess and capability to implement a system that will do it. Unfortunately for them, I don't think that turning to their competitor that's in the same situation and has also proved incapable of doing it is going to be much help. The lack of progress here has not been due to lack of resources. I'm not sure what else you're going to be hoping for your competitor that's in the same situation as you to be able to provide, if not more resources. The rest of the article is pretty interesting. I'll put a link to the translated version in the show notes. It walks through a lot of the internal struggles that Volkswagen has been having. I don't think there are any hard sourced quotes here though, so I don't want to belabor it by adding in more of that speculative stuff. But it is there to check out if you are interested. That is it for today though. Don't forget to check out that interview with Third Row. Make sure you're subscribed and signed up for notifications here and following me on Twitter @TeslaPodcast. And I'll see you tomorrow for the Tuesday, May 5th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.